All right, guys, welcome back in. Welcome into the AfterSchrock. This is the special after the show segment where you can ask some questions that didn't quite fit into the show if you have them. We'll go through the rest of the stuff that we didn't get to on the show here. Whenever I get callers, I try to get to the callers rather than the stuff we have planned for the show. It's good to have show prep ready to go. In case you don't get callers, you should never assume you're going to have callers, but it's better to have the show prep and then get the callers on the air because the callers really make the show. So for those of you who are calling in, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Also, if you were watching online, it would mean the world to us if you could like and share the show that we just did. That helps people outside of our state see it. We're going to start boosting actually to Iowa residents specifically for the show on Facebook to try to spread that a little bit there. And of course, like I said, August 5th we go live in Iowa, so it's going to be fun times there to see see if we get new people calling the show, to see how that stuff goes. And we got a lot of work to do. We have to recut a new intro. We have some spots that we run during the show that specifically say Omaha, so we have to recut those not to say Omaha. We also need to cut an explanation of why the show is a week tape delayed. So Compute This is recorded live every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. and then replayed at various times throughout the week on stations just like this one. Because, yeah. If they try to call in, looks like we're going to get the 2 to 3 p.m. slot in Des Moines, which on WHO, the 2 to 3 p.m. slot has absolutely no ratings right now, which is going to be kind of fun. We're going to see if we can actually transform a dead spot on the dial into a lively interaction of ideas. It's going to be kind of fun. So anyway, that's what's going on. And I'm hanging in there, guys. Man, I'm literally sweating through the back of my shirt right now. So I am definitely not well, but my throat... The coffee has helped a little bit. My throat is doing a little bit better. It's not as scratchy, that or the Motrin's kicking in. And I feel like I can do an aftershock. So let's get to it. All right. So first up, Microsoft unexpectedly drops Windows 7 support for some ancient CPUs. Now, when you hear ancient CPU, I'm thinking like dinosaurs, fossil fuel kind of thing. No, ancient CPUs in technology terms. There's a line in here that's hilarious. Like, this is a Pentium 3. So some people are running Windows 7 on a Pentium 3. That means they bought the computer with Windows 98 on it, then they upgraded to XP, and then they upgraded to 7 on a Pentium 3 processor. ZDNet says if you did that, you should be charging admission to your computer museum. All right, so anyway, the Windows 7 support for some older CPUs, basically what's happening is Microsoft is saying if your processor is so old that it doesn't meet basic modern security requirements, there is no software patching we can do to make your computer secure, so we're not going to patch your computer anymore. And this is going to pressure you to buy a new computer because, let's be honest, if you've had the same computer since the year 2000, 18 years is a really good run. Good for you. It's time to move on. So if you are running Windows 7 on a computer that you got in the year 2000, you need to buy a new computer. That's what it comes down to. You're not going to get any more security updates. All right, Gloria, I didn't quite understand your answer to the last woman caller. Did you say her computer locked up and she had to take it to your store because she had 74 cookies? I think that's what at the end of the call, we were like, I don't know that she was understanding what we were saying, but maybe I wasn't understanding what she was saying because at the end of the call, my understanding was her computer locked up for whatever reason, and she was frustrated that it locked up because she gets preventative maintenance done every 6 months. So she brought it into the store to see what was going on. First thing, preventative maintenance is not a cure-all. Just like if you take your car in for all of its regular maintenance, you can still have something break. It doesn't guarantee that nothing's going to break. It just dramatically reduces the likelihood of a catastrophic breakdown, where bad hard drive, bad memory, bad power supply, that would blow up and zap a bunch of other stuff. So her computer came into the service center because it was locked up. The second thing here is, when a customer tells us their computer is locked up, we have to translate a little bit. So your computer is locked up could mean my computer wouldn't go to a certain page on the internet when I wanted it to go there. Your computer is locked up could mean the computer was physically frozen. Like the mouse wouldn't move, it was locked up. The computer could mean it was doing a Windows update and it just kept spinning, like it was working, like it was locked up. So we have to translate a little bit. So a computer being locked up doesn't always just mean what the logical person would think it means, the computer is locked up. So basically, her computer had some issue that required it to be brought into the service center. A lot of times when we bring the computer into the service center, we're going to test, even though we just did a maintenance checkup, we're going to test everything again. A lot of people don't realize this, but when you bring your computer into Schrock, there are certain base level tests that we do to every single computer, even if it was just in last week. We do the tests again. Now, this is something that most computer repair shops don't do because it takes a lot of time, it costs a lot of money, but it ensures that we get accurate diagnosis. So, for example, if you brought your computer in last week and everything tested fine, and then you take it home and you're having weird issues, so you bring it back in, we could just assume that everything is still okay. And we could sit there and try to troubleshoot the problem and run ourselves in circles, and then later on go back and find out, oh shoot, the hard drive failed after you took it home, which can actually happen. Oh boy, that's a bummer. If I would have only run that scan like 2 days ago, it could have saved everybody a lot of time and heartache here. So we run hard drive test, memory test, and malware test every time the computer comes in, regardless of why it comes in, even if it's a warranty on something we just did 2 days before. So when her computer came back in because it was locked up, yes, she'd been in less than 6 months ago, but we ran all of those tests again. And when we run those tests, we put that on the invoice. Part of that is for record keeping, and part of that is to make sure you understand the amount of work that we put into a repair at Schrock and how it's better, it's more than what you're getting in other places. If we don't put that on the invoice, you have no way of knowing the level of service you're getting. So we put the results of the tests on the invoice. Hard drive passed, memory passed, power supply passed, malware, we did find 74 items. And they were labeled as tracking cookies, and she had no problem with that. So I think what she was worried about was that her computer, I think she was equating the fact her computer locked up with the fact there were tracking cookies, because what ended up happening is after we ran our tests, we probably found what was wrong with the operating system and corrected it. So it was probably reported as corrected operating system problems on the invoice, and that's what fixed it. But she saw that security result and thought, oh my gosh, I was infected, and why did that correct? And we didn't charge her any money, which if she has endpoint, she has a virus-free guarantee, so it would have been free anyway, but it wasn't the warranty situation wasn't because of the virus infection. So I think there was a little confusion there, but we ran out of time, so I had to kind of truncate that one a little bit. All right, Mark, how about adding a store in Grand Island? Our good local computer shop switched to web services only. You know, Mark, you're the second person to say something about Grand Island to me. Yeah, we thought about it. It's just the population base in Grand Island, we're not sure that it would support a Schrock service center. There's a couple reasons for that. Number one, getting the computer technicians we need would be difficult in Grand Island because there's not that many computer technicians in Grand Island, not of the caliber that we would need. So there's a staffing concern there. Number two is, at full maturity, a Schrock service center should be fixing 20 or 30 computers a day. I'm just not sure that there's that many computers to be fixed in Grand Island. I'm not saying Grand Island's a tiny city, but it would be like asking, should we open a computer repair facility in Fremont? Fremont is a great little town. It's a small city, but I don't know that they require their own computer repair services company at the level that we would provide. It's definitely something we'll look into in the future, though. That's one of the reasons we were drawn to Des Moines, is it's a larger DMA than Omaha. It's a larger population base than Omaha. But the ratings on that time period are super low. So we're going to find out if people, let's put it this way. Sunday mornings from 7 to 8 a.m., we have, I think it was like a 1.7 share. Which is huge. That means like 1.7% of everybody listening to the radio in Omaha at Sunday morning is listening to us. That's a huge share for what we're doing. The share over from 2 to 3 p.m. on WHO is something like 0.3 something. I mean, it's nobody's listening. So the question is, are we getting good results Sunday mornings because people are in the car, they're going to church, they're doing things like that, and they happen to tune in? Or do we have a show that people enjoy listening to, and they're tuning in because of that? Or maybe it's a little bit of both, right? So the question here is when we pop this on WHO on Sunday afternoons from 2 to 3 in the afternoon, are we going to get the same results? Now, it takes like a year to build this up. So to give you an idea for Grand Island, what we would have to do to determine this is we already are on KFAB, which covers Grand Island. So right now, the model that we're going to use for Des Moines is we're going to say, all right, We're going to put the radio station or the radio show in Des Moines for 12 months to 18 months, a year to a year and a half. And we're going to watch our website sales. We're going to see how many Schrock Desk calls we get. We're going to see how many computers get bought from the internet. We're going to see how many people do safe upgrade. We're going to look at all these things together, and then we're going to decide, should we put a service center in Des Moines? And where, based on where the customers are at, where should we put it? Now, we already have a radio show that is hitting Grand Island right here. So if we look at our website right now, I can tell you we haven't sold any computers in Grand Island that we've shipped to Grand Island. Maybe Grand Island customers have come in, but basically we don't have a lot of customers in Grand Island, even though we've been on the air in Grand Island for 5 years. So that's an example of how we're going to do the math, because if this works in Des Moines, if this method works of deciding where to put a shop and everything, we do want to grow. We are a company, we want to grow. We want to spread and help more people, and the way to do that is to be where more people are. And so then we're going to be looking at the Overland Park area, or Colorado, or Minnesota maybe. Grand Island is something we could certainly look at putting a smaller shop there, but there are certain fixed reasons why we can't do that. Storefronts. You can't really buy a storefront anymore less than 1,500 square feet. We would not need 1,500 square feet in Grand Island. Again, technicians, the help. We can find people. We can find great technicians anywhere. We can find great customer service people anywhere. We just can't find those two things together in the same person very often. And so that's why, when we do have new hires at Schrock, they go through new hire training. Literally, we'll go through 12 or 13 people before we keep one, if that makes sense. So there's not a lot of turnover in our staff once they're on board, but to get to that point, there's a lot of turnover, because if you're not cutting the mustard, we're not going to keep you around. If you're annoying our customers, we're not going to keep you around. So that's a very long answer to a very simple question, but hopefully you get the gist there. All right, Paul, I have a 5-year-old computer that I use for income tax. Is it worth coming in and having an SSD? That you want to upgrade your income tax computer so you can do your taxes faster? Honestly, this is one of the most popular upgrades that we're doing in the shops right now, is upgrading computers from mechanical hard drives to solid-state drives. You get a bigger benefit than if you do a memory upgrade, than any other processor upgrade. The solid-state upgrade is by far the best upgrade you can do to any old computer to breathe new life into it. Of course, I would do this, to answer your question, Paul, if you're running Windows 10, it'd probably be worth it. If you're not running Windows 10, I wouldn't mess with it, because you're going to be getting a new computer at some point soon anyway. All right. Sorry, my voice is starting to crap out on me here. All right. The European Union prepares to wreck the internet. I love that. We're going to wreck it with a new copyright law. If passed, Article 13 will force websites to check any and all posts for copyright violations. Okay. So what does this mean? If you run a website that people post comments on, let's say it's like YouTube, for example, you can post a video and then people comment on the video. Under this European law, YouTube is now responsible for everything that's posted on YouTube.com, even though they're not posting it. So in the United States, we actually have a specific law on the books that says a company is not liable for the content posted by its users. And that protects companies like YouTube and Google and Facebook and things like that. Because imagine if Facebook was responsible for every post that somebody wrote on Facebook. How do you police that? That's what this law in Europe is going to do if it passes. And it looks like it's going to pass at this point. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find the gist of it here. Under Article 13, instead of letting you be free to say whatever you want or share whatever content you desire, every website has to check your every word, sound, video, programming code, image, or video to see if it's a copyright violation. In short, everything. The solution for Article 13 is to insist that sites filter submissions against a database of copyrighted works. This technology, in theory, will identify both near and exact matches. The sites must also enable copyright owners to update its database. So basically what this Article 13 is, Article 13 says someone somewhere will create technology that is a repository of all copyrighted works and allows people to add their copyrighted works to the repository themselves. Nothing's going to go wrong there. So is the repository then responsible for copyright violations if I add something that is somebody else's copyright? The things they haven't thought of. This is a joke. This is a nightmare of a joke. But it's not a joke. They're real. They're really going to do this. The website here says Google and Facebook could build software that might handle this. Maybe. Google's YouTube Content ID tries and often fails to do this, and it handles just YouTube videos. So, yeah, I mean, we couldn't do it at Schrock. We would have to, I mean, think if you're a review website. What if somebody was writing a review of a restaurant and they use a copyrighted phrase in their review? So then Yelp is responsible to take that review down because there's a copyrighted phrase in that review. Near match or exact match. You don't see that every day. Oh, I bet that's copyrighted by somebody. I mean, heck, Apple tried to patent the rounded rectangle, for heaven's sake. So I'm sure it's patented by somebody. Let's see. Far from affecting large American internet platforms, who can well afford the cost of compliance, the burden of Article 13 will fall most heavily on their competitors, including European startups, the letter writes. The cost of putting in place necessary automatic filtering technologies will be expensive and burdensome, yet those technologies have still not developed to a point where the reliability can be guaranteed. So there is no technology to do this. The law says you'll make it, you'll be fine. What will happen here is the American companies will make the technology that allow the European companies to be compliant with European law, and we'll charge them accordingly. Go capitalism. Apple pushes back against hackers' iPhone passcode report. A security researcher's demonstration of a purported bypassing of a passcode on an up-to-date iPhone and iPad has been pushed back by Apple. Matthew Hickey, that's his real name, guys, a security researcher and co-founder of cybersecurity firm Hacker House. Matthew Hickey, the owner of Hacker House. It sounds like Chuck E. Cheese or something. Tweeted Friday about he used the Twitter, you see, on Friday about a potential way to bypass security limits, allowing him to enter as many passcodes as he wants, even on the latest version of iOS, which is 11.3. If you try more than 10 times, the device is supposed to erase all of its contents. Hickey said he found a way around that, explaining that when an iPhone or iPad is plugged in and a would-be hacker sends keyboard inputs, it triggers an interrupt request which takes priority over anything else on the device. Instead of sending a passcode at one time and waiting, he sends them all at once. So so here's my list of like 5,000 passcodes. I'm just going to send them all at once, and the iPhone just tries them all. If you send your brute force attack in as a long string of inputs, it'll process them and bypass the erase data feature. Okay, so Apple did not say why it disputed his findings. The report on Friday claimed blah, 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 blah. He tweeted later saying that not all tested passcodes are sent to the device's secure enclave, which protects the device from brute force attacks. Blah, 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 blah. The story has been updated since Friday with comments from Apple. Apple is rolling out a new feature called USB restricted mode in 12 that will make it more difficult for people to do this. I pressed the cough button like you wouldn't hear the cough. Different microphone, sorry. So long story short, Apple doesn't like the fact that somebody reported that you could still brute force an iPhone and told every law enforcement agency in the world how to do it. So in iOS 12, they're going to fix it. Yay. Oh, golly. All right, we did talk about the Amazon employees rebelling against immigration. We talked about the internet sales tax and the shop. So yeah, that about wraps it up, guys. So if you haven't done so, don't forget to install Drive Advisor. It's free on your computer. You can put that on there. Also, if you want to, if you don't have Secure Updater, check out SecureUpdater.com. SecureUpdater.com allows you to install a product that we make. SecureUpdater.com. Oh, it's not typing. SecureUpdater.com. All right, so SecureUpdater.com is a program that we made at Schrock, and what it does is it automatically and silently updates all of your third-party software, like Flash, Java, Skype, Adobe Reader, things like that. The stuff that there are updates for this stuff all the time, about 12 a week. So if you don't do these updates, what ends up happening is no matter what antivirus you're running, the bad guys can inject right alongside your antivirus and infect your computer. You don't want that to happen. You can get a free trial of Secure Updater at SecureUpdater.com. You just go there, SecureUpdater.com, and you can install it on your computer. It's free for 2 weeks. No credit card required. None of that garbage where you put in your card if you forget to cancel. Nothing like that. Just put in, install it on your computer, let it do its thing. Check and see, use the trial to check and see if you're out of date now. Maybe you think you're up to date. Maybe you'll be surprised when you find out that you're not. Because a lot of the programs don't do a good job, especially like Java and Flash and Reader. They do not do a good job of updating themselves. Programs like Firefox, Chrome, they do pretty good, but a lot of them don't do that. So check it out, secureupdater.com. All right, last call for questions, guys. My voice is failing me, and time is running long here. We're 20 minutes into the AfterSchrock. That's like a free fifth of a show. Wow, I should give. You people have to pay 20% more for this. I think we should start taxing, taxing for airtime. But yeah, let me know if you have any other last questions before we head on out of here. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up and call it an afternoon. Service centers this week. If you want to talk with me, I'm going to be bouncing between, as I mentioned, the Data Recovery Lab has been very busy in Omaha for some reason, so I'm working on a number of recoveries in there for customers. So I'll be spending some time in Omaha. Usually start my day off in Papillion in the morning, but I will be in Lincoln quite a bit this week. Like I mentioned, we've got some new people starting. Each service center is getting a new employee this week. So there's a lot of face time that needs to happen there to make sure that we're actually, we give our employees a 90-day probationary period. And the reason for this is when we first hire you, you got 3 months to work for us. If you don't like how we do things, if you can't conform to the way we want you to do things, sometimes you get these arrogant computer repair guys that are like, oh, my way is better, your way is stupid, we're going to do it my way from now on. It's like, no, we're not. If you want to make an argument, that's fine. I can hear your argument. But before you make your argument, you're going to learn how to do it our way and do it our way. And then after you've experienced how that solves so many other problems that you're not even aware of yet, then you can suggest to me how your way might be better. And if it is, that's how we improve. We get new people, we get new blood, get new ideas. And wow, why weren't we doing that the whole time? Drive Advisor. Why did we just think of that? Like last year, why did we just think of that last year? We could have been doing this for years. But, I don't know, it just occurred to me. So we should give people a reason. Actually, to wrap it up here, there's no more calls or comments coming in. So to wrap it up, the real story behind Drive Advisor, the real reason that we created Drive Advisor. Top secret stuff here, guys. Listen up. We had a customer come in, and we tested his hard drive. His hard drive had a smart failure status. So the smart status was, the drive was telling you when you checked the status that it was in a failure state. It was failing. But when you did a surface scan, it tested fine, which is not uncommon. If the drive has power-up issues, for example, sometimes it doesn't turn itself all the way on. You're not going to find that in a surface scan. That's only going to happen when you first start the computer and you have to try to start it up 2 or 3 times to get it to turn on. So we told the guy he had a bad hard drive. It was going to cost him $300 to fix it, and he said he wanted a second opinion. Hey, no problem. This is in Lincoln. He took it to another computer repair shop in Lincoln, who ran a surface test on his hard drive, proclaimed that it was healthy, and told him about how all the people at Schrock are just rip-off artists. They always are taking advantage of people by telling them stuff's broken when it's not, trying to make a buck, basically. Yeah, that was rough. So he went on Google and posted a review and told us, you guys are terrible, blah, 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 blah. So I called him and said, listen, I understand you're frustrated, you're upset. I'd like to take an opportunity to make this right. Tell you what, why don't I come to your home? I will come to your house, and I will run the test that we ran in front of you to show you that the hard drive in your computer is bad. It'll test at the same health rate. It was like 96% health. It'll test at the same health rate or lower than when we ran it the first time. I just don't want you thinking that this is the kind of stuff that we do. In fact, I'll tell you what, you bring that into us, if you agree to take down the review, I will go ahead and fix the whole thing for free, a $300 repair for free. Because I can't have people thinking this about our company. We bust our butts every day, day in and day out, 15 of us, working our tails off to preserve the reputation of a company in an industry that's known for being shystery. And here we have this review, and of course it's getting a lot of traction, and all of our competitors are liking it. They love it. We got to fix this. So eventually he did take the review down. He never came in. He never took me up on my offer to come to his house. He was thankful that I called him, and the extra attention and whatnot. He accepted the explanation, but he didn't really believe it. So yeah, it was a rough situation. So we said to ourselves, how can we prevent this from happening in the future? And the thought was, well, what if there was like an independent arbiter of hard drive health? Because I can't ask you to run a Sentinel test on your hard drive, because you don't have Sentinel. You don't have Drive Sentinel at home. You don't have a boot disk at home. You don't even know what smart is a lot of times. So I can't ask you to do that. What if there was like an arbiter that was free, that we could put on people's computers that would tell them their hard drive's health? That way, if their hard drive was bad, if this program pops up and says it's bad, and you take it into one of our competitors, and one of our competitors says the hard drive is good, you would at least have this other, like, then why is this thing telling me this is bad? And I mean, they'd make the argument, well, that's because Schrock makes it, and they want you to think your hard drive is bad, so you come in and fix it. So I do think my hard drive is bad. And then the beautiful thing is then now you can come into our shop and say, Drive Advisor says my hard drive is bad. Can you show me how it's bad because this other shop says it's not? So see how we reversed it there? Now you're in the shop, and we can run a second test with Sentinel or some other program that's not Drive Advisor and get the same or slightly lower result and show you that the hard drive is bad. And it was a service thing. So that was what originally why Drive Advisor was created. Then, of course, like all software projects, it bloats up. So, well, what if Drive Advisor could change colors and like go become red, like Secure Updater does, if the drive is bad? Okay. Well, what if Drive Advisor could send you an email when your computer's hard drive is failing? Because like some people who install this are like in New York. They're not Schrock customers. They're never going to be Schrock customers. They don't know who Schrock is from a hole in the wall. So it doesn't make sense for us to say, hey, bring it into Schrock if your hard drive is bad. So basically, if you've been into Schrock before, it'll tell you to bring it to Schrock. But if you've never been to Schrock before, it literally tells you should take your computer to a qualified hardware repair technician to have this problem fixed. So it's completely a free service. It's not even a lead generator. It just goes out and says you should go someplace to get your computer fixed. So it's pretty cool. So the last thing that we didn't get done with it, that we almost did, was there's an algorithm in Windows 10 that allows you to test your battery to determine if your battery is starting to lose its capacity to hold a charge. Everybody knows when they have a bad battery. Everybody knows when they have a good battery. But there is a long period of time between good and failed where the battery loses charge time. A minute here, 5 minutes there, and then eventually it only lasts like 10 minutes when I plug it in. So what if you could detect when your battery is lost 20%, for example, of its capacity to hold a charge, and we could replace that battery for you? Windows 10 gives us the capability to test for that. We were like, well, if we put that in Drive Advisor, is it become like Battery Advisor? Should we create a separate program called Battery Advisor? We're like, oh, that sounds like such a pain in the butt. We don't want to do that. How can we monitor this? So no, we never did anything with that. So if it's something that you think is a good idea, let us know, and we'll take a look. But one thing we thought about doing was incorporating it into the maintenance checkup, actually, so that when you come in for your 6-month preventative maintenance checks, we're checking the battery too. That's probably going to be the likely scenario. We're going to integrate it into the maintenance check. But in the meantime, yeah, just Drive Advisor. Just check your hard drive right now. And we had to spell it Drive Advisor, E-R, because if you go to driveadvisor.com, it's parked at GoDaddy. And I mean, what was the amount? It was some ridiculous amount of money. Driveadvisor.com. Well, now I can't. Oh, here it comes. Okay. So this page is parked for free, courtesy of GoDaddy. This domain is available through GoDaddy Auctions. Auction ends 8/12 of 18, and the price is currently $15,000 for that domain. I'm sorry, I'm going to spell it with an E, and I'll renew it for $6 a year. Thank you very much. All right, guys, thanks for joining us on the program today. It's been great having you. Thanks for watching the AfterSchrock. We'll see you here again next Sunday for another edition of Compute This. In the meantime, check out the service centers. Like I said, Omaha and Papillion are out of queue, especially Omaha. It's like the bench is like almost clear in Omaha. Lincoln is just on the cusp of being in queue, but I'll be down there a little bit helping them push that stuff out as well. In the meantime, give us a call. We open Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sunday from noon to 5. And, of course, the rest of the week we're open as well, but you can get those hours on Google. Thanks a lot and have a great day, guys.